We have already consecutive third higher low, ladies and gentlemen. We need to discuss in this video what does that mean. Are we going to see higher prices now, or we are going to see the downtrend? It's very important to hear me out right now. I hope it's gonna be as short as possible. And now let's begin. I wanna start this update from the monthly chart, and you can see Bitcoin price managed to stop already with this big drop over here. We are seeing some sort of a bottom candlestick pattern over here. It's not done yet. We need to see next candle in the next month, of course, green and going to the upside. But on the monthly chart so far we stopped the drop. That's important because on the monthly chart we don't have a lot of information if we can actually go to the upside or to the downside in the short time. We need to discuss about the MACD as well. You can see that the MACD is still into the bearish consecutive 6th or 7th histogram candlestick over here, and you can see that we are still not seeing any sort of a slowdown into this momentum when it comes to the monthly chart. So it takes months to actually play out this sort of a action. And now we're gonna jump into the weekly, where the things are a little bit more interesting and let's say a little bit more bullish for the Bitcoin price and the crypto space in general, because as you know, altcoins are following the Bitcoin and the Bitcoin is following traditional markets as well. On the weekly chart, we can see that the 20 exponential is still above us, pretty much a lot above us. It's a long way until we retest it, so we're not going to discuss about that right now, although there is a possibility to retest it in just 1 week to have a spike, but that's just less likely for the Bitcoin price. We're still going to see some sort of accumulation phase before we see such a thing, and as you can see already for a 1 month on the weekly chart we are seeing that thing. Also MACD is looking a little bit bullish, I must say, because the previous 2 weeks, or let's say this week and the previous week, are showing us some sort of a weakness into this bearishness over here, probably because we are into this consolidation phase. And as well, I'm going to give you some bullish analogy on the weekly chart over here, because RSI is into the bearish zone, and I'm going to just right now show you how bullish and important this is for the cryptocurrency space. You can see that right now we are trying to get out of this zone. I can actually zoom in a little bit, and you can see that this is the first time that, you know, after a long time we are below level of 30, which is actually oversold zone. You can see that the price is way oversold when it comes to the RSI, and the last time that actually happened, I think, was the Black Swan event over here, and that was at 9th March. We can say that we almost retouched oversold zone, not entirely, but almost. We retouched this zone after we bounced back from these levels over here. You can see that we spiked to the upside. The same thing, and even better analogy you can make onto the 2018 bear market when we bottomed out. What you can see on the RSI is that we entered this zone for pretty much 1 week or so, and after that we bounced from it and never looked back. And the same thing you can see on the price, because the price is most important one. You can see that this was the higher low situation, if you remember that, and then we spiked into another push to the upside. Now if you want more examples, look at the 2015 12th January when the Bitcoin actually bottomed out over here. What you can see is big long week onto the weekly chart. This week was so volatile, it went from $266 all the way to $151. This is amazing. Let's actually see how big movement was it. 6% of the Bitcoin, and you can see that the RSI did as well that on the weekly chart. So this is weekly chart. It takes weeks to actually play out these moves over here, and after we enter this zone you can see that we bounced into the next big bull market, and so on and so we're not gonna discuss about more because we don't have a lot of history over here, but you can see that this repeated few times, multiple times, and right now it repeats again. We will see if the Bitcoin is going to actually play out the same thing, or we're gonna need a little bit more time to actually play out, because you know this is the weekly chart and we had a pretty drastic slump from the upside. So that's some very interesting thing to discuss and observe over here when it comes to the weekly chart. Now we are going a little bit further, and that's the daily chart, ladies and gentlemen. The daily chart looks very interesting. RSI, MACD, nothing special. I mean, in the push you have some sort of a greenness over here, into the correction you have some redness, nothing special. The same thing applies for the RSI, nothing special, it's just following the price. We don't have divergences, we don't have bullish divergences unfortunately, but once they form, doesn't mean we need bearish divergence to bottom, but usually they are forming. They form on the top over here, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, and they mean a lot. All right, they mean a lot. They formed onto the weekly, onto the daily, and I think onto the 4-hourly chart. You can see over here weakness into the market, or let's say onto the indicators, but you can see the price was showing the higher high, and that was signal that something was wrong with the market and it needs to correct in order for bearish divergences to disappear. We don't have the same thing right now, but it doesn't mean it won't form. Probably it will, but it takes some time. Now, when it comes to the daily chart, the thing that we're going to discuss over here is actually the higher lows and this little flag, tunnel, whatever you want to call it. You can see that we are constantly making higher highs over here, and as well we are making higher lows. Now, this low over here is making me a little bit insecure for the Bitcoin, because we are seeing some sort of a slump to the downside where we retested this previous low, and that wasn't such a great signal and sign, because it seems like we didn't manage to hold this low over here where the Bitcoin tried to actually form, but it failed. So we broke it, right, and we retested this low, but we succeeded to actually hold it and get bounce already for the 3 days. As you can see, that's why I waited a little bit to see if we're gonna see bounce, and we can do a video about it. So if we zoom in a little bit, you can see that the 20 exponential daily moving average is right now getting retested, and if we see bounce from this 20 EMA, that would be the boost for the price to actually break the next level of resistance. I will give you one trick when you watch the charts. Usually when you see the price is going to some sort of a level, for example this level of resistance, and if it stops there, if it doesn't break it, right, if you see some sort of a consolidation as we saw over here, usually most probably is going to reverse, and you're going to have a bigger chance to actually break the next support that almost happened. So for the third time we retested this support, that didn't happen, and now as you can see we bounce from here, and there is a bigger potential to actually break this resistance. There is a bigger chance to actually break this resistance than to come back into this support, because we already bounced from it. Make sure to remember that, it's very, very useful. Let's wait and see if the 20 EMA is going to give us a break over here and let us continue towards this level of resistance, because if we do break this level of resistance, then we can discuss about something more serious than just consolidation phase. Reversal candlestick patterns formed over here in pretty much all bottoms formations. Over here you can see engulfing pattern 1, then you saw small stars on the end of this previous dump over here, and also you saw again one more engulfing pattern over here. Usually those patterns are candlestick reversal patterns, and they are indicating that the most probably certain rally, for example this one, and this one over here, is going to reverse at least for some time. So right now we need to actually see retest of this level of resistance. If we manage to break 2180, as you can see this line over here, and as well this green over here, well, we may see something very, very interesting for the Bitcoin. Make sure to observe that. Now, one more interesting thing that we need to discuss about over here, ladies and gentlemen, is the block information over here about the Bitcoin futures, because futures are important for the market. What you can see is that the BTC liquidations didn't actually happen over here. We don't have a lot of liquidations, pretty much not at all. We have a stagnation, so I think personally that very soon we're going to see some sort of a spike. The question is if they are going to be the long or the short. If we're gonna see short squeeze over here, if we're gonna see liquidations in the short over here on the futures, that could also indicate pump to the upside. But as you can see, we have a negative Bitcoin funding rates over here, and there is a potential for that short squeeze. But let's wait and see, because as you know, future price and the spot price needs to come on the same level. That will be actually the indication for that liquidation. All right, so make sure to definitely observe the futures, because they could be some cause for the volatility in the markets. Now I think this is it for this update, ladies and gentlemen. I told you what to watch on the weekly, on the daily and the monthly chart as well. Observe very carefully, because I do believe that very soon we're going to decide if we're going to go to the upside or to the downside, because right now the stage is a little bit boring. We're still into this consolidation phase, so we need to wait until it's done, and we need to see if we're going to actually break that resistance that we just discussed about it, or we're going to make another low. However, I'm still betting myself that we are going to see some consolidation still before we see the Bitcoin deciding if it's gonna break the support or resistance. I hope this helped. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think about the Bitcoin right now on these levels. Also, you need to remember one thing about the levels. When it comes to the $20,000, it has been retested already for a few times, and when some level is retested for a few times, usually that level tends to break. Don't forget about that, but also we may see bounce as well. However, the trend is your friend all the way until the end. Let's wait and see what's gonna happen over here. We still have some bullishness, all right? We still have some bullish signals, but we need to see them playing out until the end before we trust them, right? I want to thank each last one of you for watching our videos, and until the next update, happy trading and goodbye.